Hi, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Kayleen. I live in Melbourne, and you're in my studio at the moment, but in this video I'm just going to have, it's a bit of a show and tell today. It's not a tutorial, show and tell, and talk about different art supplies and some new art supplies that I'm about to try out. We'll do a little bit of an unboxing and I'll explain to you a little bit about colour, and I will walk you through my studio and how you can have a really good look of my studio space as it is now. Now, when I say as it is now, I have actually cleared a lot of stuff that wasn't relevant to the space out. I've been decluttering and moving garden stuff out of my studio, but I'm about to do a renovation in here, just a very cheap repurpose, reuse renovation to make this space really charming and homely, and a place that I really can settle in and enjoy being in, so therefore I do more artwork. So come with me and I will show you actually this space and another space that I've got, and yeah, just share with you a little bit about where I work, and let me know in the comments that anything else that might interest you, and let me know what your studio space is like and what you would like to do with your studio space. In fact, I'll ask you one question. If there's one thing you could change about where you do your creative work, whatever that may look like, what would you change? What would you have? Leave it in the comments below. Now let's go and check out these art supplies. Woohoo, we got some new art supplies, and I'm going to show you what I got. Now, we all know that art supplies are always needed. And when we get some new things to try, it's always so exciting. And I have worked in a lot of mediums, but this is something that I have stayed away from because in the past it's had some negative reviews and opinions by fellow artists that have tried these. But I think they've come up in the world in quality and application, and I'm going to try some artwork that's right up my alley, that I can't necessarily do without these. So let me have a look at what's in here and I'll show you. So these supplies have come from the art shop in Bayswater, and I'm very happy to support them because they support a couple of art societies I belong to, the Pastel Society of Victoria, Australia, and Ringwood Art Society. So I shop there, and they are very reasonably priced if you're in Australia. And let's have a look what I have got here. Now, some of these things are not what I mentioned, some of them are extras. I just recently did a workshop. I pulled out my watercolours after a very, very long time and decided that the palette that I had, although it is perfectly fine, was far more practical to have this palette. I saw the teacher with this palette and I thought you can load up much more paint in here. It's more compact, and just when you are, I'll show you. Oh, let me. When you are reaching for the paint, all the colours are kind of right where you need them. So this is it here. It's a Derivan folding palette and it has 33 wells in it. So plenty of room for plenty of colour, of which I have many. And you see it here. And it has a little extra palette that comes out there. There is actually a brush hiding in here, I think. Is that, or is that the, looked like a brush for a minute. That's just the hinge. But these are nice deep wells for the watercolour. I think, does this come out? I'll just see. Oh, and that comes out too. So you've got all of that mixing space should you need it. So three there. but all of this room for your paint. Which way did it go? It went that way, didn't it? And it keeps them all nice in there and tight. So I shouted myself that. I did get a couple of extra watercolour colours, but where are they? So, must be in one of these boxes. There they are, hiding down there. Two of the colours that the tutor recommended, which was the Daniel Smith's Perylene Violet, and I think that was Indian Yellow. Yeah, Indian Yellow. So two colours I didn't have. That, and this particular colour was a really nice, very, very dark purple. So which you can mix with the other darks to get some nice darks. Now, this is my new toy. These are Cobra water soluble oils. Now, the reason I've got Cobra is from reading reviews. Apparently they are more like an oil and less, you know, when you dilute them, they're less watery, for want of a better word. And I've bought these to do a particular painting method, which I will share on my channel when I do it. So I've bought a very limited palette. So the colours here will be, is that the Indian Yellow, Yellow Ochre, that was a Payne's Grey, Ultramarine Blue, Raw Umber, Transparent Red Oxide, and Titanium White. And I often work in a controlled or limited palette with my oils and my acrylic and gouache because it's much easier to have a harmonious palette. These colours were particular to something I want to do, so I will share that later, and I'm looking forward to using those. Very excited. Now the medium that I'm using with that, because you can dilute them with water, but water's not the best option for diluting them. This sunflower oil is, so I've got that as the medium for that, and this is water mixable oil colour sunflower oil, same brand. So I'm not sponsored by anybody here. I've just bought these from recommendations and research. So I'm showing you out in the lounge room where there's not great light, but the reason I'm showing you out here is because my studio is undergoing a makeover. So I've got stuff everywhere. So are you working in different mediums? I'm only working in oil and pastel, but I do work in other mediums here and there. But after doing that workshop, I was busting to do more watercolour, and I'm setting up a little watercolour area, and I've even invested in a watercolour field easel, so I can do a bit of plein air painting. Anyone that knows me knows I go pretty regularly out plein air painting, and there's some videos on plein air painting in my playlist, but that is always fun to do. So if you've never tried plein air painting, I highly recommend you go out and do that. But yes, limited palette, watercolours, water soluble oil, a couple of extra colours of watercolour, and watercolour is quite expensive to buy, so you just buy a little bit here and there and a new palette. Hi there, welcome to part of my studio, or actually my in-house studio, and then I've got one attached to the house that is undergoing a very small renovation, but it always takes a lot of work to do even a small renovation. And the renovation is we're putting new flooring down, so everything's got to come out, and every time I think everything has to come out, everything goes back different. So I'm trying to make my studio more homely. I figured if we're spending a lot more hours at home these days and petrol's getting dearer and dearer and dearer and more tricky, I figured I think I'll get my studio set up so I'm a bit more happy in there and feel a bit more at home and I can nest in there. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, and I will show you the progress on that. I will take you out there in a minute to have a look and you can see it as is. I have cleaned up somewhat and I'll explain to you what I've done, but you'll get a kind of a bit of a before so that you can see the after and see the things that I'm going to bring in there to make it all nice and rustic and cozy and homely. So a place I want to go and paint all the time instead of feeling like I'm walking into a shed. Now in saying that, I've got this little corner in my house over here that I'm also working on. So I've got a chair that I know that's comfortable. I've got a table that I refurbished that I have nowhere else for it really. It was just in here, but I'll use it. I have an easel that I picked up, a double masted easel, and I actually have another one of these that I paid for, but I think this one, from memory, I picked it up for free. So I had to go a fair distance to go and get it, and it is missing some of the screws. So to put it together, so you see the base of it here, it's missing 4 screws. I pulled one of the screws out to see exactly what they were because they're a special screw, and they are often called cot bolts. I shouldn't say screw, they're bolts. Cot bolts, or I'll write on the screen the other name for it. But basically they go in the hole here. They go in one hole and there's another hole on the other side that locks them into place. That makes the holding of the wood more secure. So these are Montmart Professional Series easels. Haven't had a lot of use because a lot of people start painting and then decide they're too busy or whatever, or could have bought it during the lockdowns and then decided, okay, it's all over. I'm not playing inside, but I wanted the easel for myself. So I'm happy to have had that gifted to me, and it's going to go in that corner. So I can be in the house of a night time, be around hubby. And these 2 tables are also cafe tables that I refurbished. You can see the lovely detail on it. And they've got like a pearly finish and a mottled top, and they've got beveled glass, toughened glass on the top of them. So these are a couple of pieces of furniture that I had left over from my furniture business that went down with the lockdowns, but I've decided just to keep them as art tables. So easy to clean with having the glass on it, and then I've started to set up just a few bits and pieces. So I've got the watercolour supplies here that I mentioned I've just started doing, and I'll show you some really cool stuff in here, all right? So I won't go through it all, but basically I'll tell you what I've got in here. I've got my sketchbook and the notes that I took from the workshop. That was in there, but I've actually put the exercises I did. Hang on, I'll take them out for a bit of fun, show you. Actual paintings that I did. Firstly, to give credit to the tutor, I will show you this. This is the tutor. There's a bookmark I got from it, Antoinette Blight. There's a little preview of her work there, and there's her details, a shout out for her. So it was an all-day workshop, and it was very, very full on and full of information, and a great start to watercolour. For me getting back into watercolour. I have learnt watercolour before and done it in the past, but I hadn't touched it for years. So that is the first one that I did. No, the second one that I did. We actually had to finish this at home because we ran out of time. So she demonstrated, and then I had to kind of take notes and try and remember and finish that at home. And this is the one we did in the class, which was a landscape. So that was mine. And they are obviously from her references, and she has painted them before, so I cannot, I don't sell them or anything like that. They were just for the lessons. And so that is just my water. There's some Chinese brushes that I've got in here that I haven't used yet. I took some out to use. There's some of my own photo references ready to go to do some more. My drawing kit is in there. And just got to watch I don't trip over that base of the easel. And over here, a cute tissue box, my watercolour pencils, which I haven't used, but they're in this kit, so if I want to reach for these. These were mainly the brushes that I used here. So that is a natural hair mop, and that is a synthetic hair round, but it was actually quite good. There is a rigger here and another small one here that I use for details. I didn't actually use that. That should go over there. And I just use this for wetting down the paper more than anything. I didn't use that either, so I only used those. Now, and there's a waterproof marker in there that I didn't use, but that's for pen and wash if you should do that. So there's some colours in here. Most of my paints are Winsor & Newton or Art Spectrum in there. There's some titanium white casein in there, and I've got Chinese white in there. Now these are really cool, my friends. These are so much fun, and I will show you what they do another time. But basically it's pigment in a little tiny little container, and I put a pin prick hole in there. So that is a notice board pin. I put it in there, and when I take that out, that tiniest hole, I use this like a salt and pepper shaker, shake the pigment into wet paint or into water, and it explodes with colour. So they're like mixed little grains or powders of colour, and it just explodes. It's really, really fun. So they're the colours in there that I'm been using, and there were some backup colours. I've got more colours, but that's what's in here. A spray bottle. I was using that one over there. I quite like these, but I've popped a little one in there in case I've got to go portable and take something with me. There's a little, this is from my gouache equipment, a little water container here that will fold down, and it has a little gouache palette, sealed palette that clips into there. That's not in there, but I just had that in there. And there's a cloth and a few spare brushes and masking tape. And this is one of my water containers that is quite heavy, will not knock over. I use at home. I just take plastic if I'm going, just plastic containers if I'm going out with watercolour, which, like I said, I haven't been doing, but would like to do. So behind there, opposite the easel, is my library of books. But I'll take you out now to show you the studio. Okay, here we are, just inside the doorway, and I have been clearing off the shelves. Just shutting the door behind me. But basically, over there, I've got a desk that has just got like random little tools, and that's actually coming out of here. There's the other easel I mentioned, all assembled. It's got some pastels on it that I need to finish, do a few touches. Most of those, well, one of them I'm actually going to brush off and wash off. That's my comfy studio chair that I recently picked up secondhand, and it is very comfortable. My antique or vintage map drawers that are hiding behind there. There's some trestle tables and table easels, and a big TV here that I don't watch TV, but if I want to screen anything up, like watch a lesson or anything, I've got it there. And these shelves are mainly where I store my paper. And I've got some little painting shelves through there. Now I do have a few other projects in here. I had a lot of garden stuff in here. I spent a lot of time in the garden growing, you know, bits of food and that these days. So I've got an arbor that we picked up secondhand. It's been blasted down, cleaned, and I have to paint it before we put it back together. So there's a project like that in here. And I had quite a bit of garden things in here. Like I had everything to do with the garden that I couldn't have outside. So I have moved that now to its own little spot and taken it out of my studio, because I want this space to be dedicated to just art and for me to just be focused like that and not be distracted by anything else. And I also want to change the look of it. So on here I've got the concrete and it's half painted, half not, and I've got odd mats and that down, but we've just bought some flooring. So the flooring is going to be amazing. It'll still be hard, so I will use some kind of rubber to stand on, but it will look much more like a room and less like a shed once I've got that in. I can also paint the walls, which I'll probably get to as well. And I'm going to move the furniture around. I'm going to recycle some furniture and change it around so my workstation's a little bit different, make it more spacious and just more inviting. So stay tuned, watch this space and see what I do with it. And it might inspire you. I'm very blessed to have this. It's quite a big space. I haven't always had a big space. There have been times in my life where I have been working on top of a washing machine and backing in and out the laundry door so I could see what I was painting, you know, those sort of scenarios. So I've done all the things, but now I do have a double carport area. That's what this was. It's been lined. It's got soundproofing on it. And because it was a gym until our gym closed because of the lockdowns. I have some furniture that I have restored that I've kept for myself. That holds a lot. That's pretty good. There's some rubbish still in here. I'm still cleaning up. They're at my main, they're like IKEA drawers, not drawers, cupboards, cubes, whatever they are. And I've still got some gardening stuff down there, so there's still all this being taken out. But basically, they hold the majority of my supplies, as well as the white drawers. I've got my amazing counterweight easel. This is I've waited all my life for easel, and it's all handmade and beautiful. I'll show you. I can lift it pretty much up and down with a touch of my finger. See that? I don't have to unscrew anything. It can be just adjusted very easily. Got another painting that I started plein air and I've yet to finish it. There's my little trolley that I've got all paintings in there. And that's my pastel trolley. I've got a trolley, actually a little trolley for oil, pastel and acrylic. And these are my plein air trolleys. So I kit up an oil one and that's my pastel one. So I can pretty much grab that. And where is it? I've moved everything now. Oh, here it is. This and that and go. When I do pastels, that and the trolley and the car is packed. As easy as that. If you have your kits all ready to go, life is much simpler. There's another little oil trolley here. That was another freebie I picked up, would you believe? And they house my acrylic paints, tubes, oil paint tubes. That's the acrylic trolley with the mediums in it. That's the oil trolley, brushes and that. I'll turn the light on so we can see. It's just a bit of a corner. Radio up there. Notice board. a very important quote. Nothing changes if nothing changes. When you want to make things happen, then you change whatever is stopping it happening, I guess. And that is the painting rack. So that's mainly got what's in there. Unfinished paintings, a couple of finished paintings that are not sold in there. Yeah, mainly unfinished paintings that I've got to work on. So there you are. That is the studio. Hope I'm not whizzing you around too quick because I know that can be nauseating. But that's the floor. So half black, half concrete, and we've got a blue rug, a black rug, and that beige rug, all very mismatched, being replaced by this beautiful, beautiful wood look vinyl. And it's a cheap option, but I don't have the means to do anything else, and I do think that's still going to look beautiful. So thanks for joining me in this just random pop-up video that I made showing you my new exciting art supplies. Again, I will show you what I do with those when I actually get to use them. And just between you and me and the rest of YouTube, there is a drawer over there with new art supplies in it I haven't used yet. So when all this is done, there's going to be a lot of play time trying all these different things. So thanks for joining me in my studio, just having a bit of a show and tell really, walk around and check out the other videos, the tutorials, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.